Hey, Shaved Veg here. Hope you're doing good and well. I once weighed 210 pounds. I now weigh less. I did this on purpose. There have been highs and lows. Let's talk about that. Some time ago, I came back onto YouTube and made a fitness update video as well as a life update video. If you're not up to speed, maybe consider watching those. But to sum it up, I decided to start losing weight, and I've been through many major life changes in the last few years. And now, going through lots of changes right now. I planned on documenting my weight loss and outlined like a dozen other videos. And then, like clockwork, my life got hectic again. I should have known. I should have known better than to start doing YouTube videos again. Shit got in the way. But that could be another video for another time. Today, we're going to talk about the cut, where it has taken me, and how things can and have gotten completely sidetracked in my weight loss journey. As I said, I weighed in at 210, and that snuck up on me. Nothing wrong with being 210, but for me, I was slower, softer, just not really feeling that great. And I definitely value health and wellness more than being big and strong. I made the decision to actively lose weight for the first time in years. I had done mini cuts here and there, usually like after traveling or something. I would cut back for like a week or two and do a little more activity, but nothing serious. I hadn't done a serious cut in a long time. For about 12 weeks, I was totally locked in on my diet and exercise. I had this goal to not totally hate my body by July 25th because I was going back to my hometown for a little event called Vans Warped Tour. I wanted to be in better shape so I could just have a better time at the festival. And I know this is vain, but I also wanted to feel better about how I looked in a tank top, whatever. I got pretty decent results within that time. I knew that I wanted to push it a little bit further, but I was going to give myself a couple weeks off to refeed and just enjoy my time back in California. It was a solid plan, and I was really excited to play hard after working so hard, and I was also motivated to work hard again after playing hard. Now, what I didn't plan on was getting into a car accident within the first few hours of the trip. Now, let me say this first. It could have been much worse. We are very lucky to have walked away from it, but holy shit, it was terrifying, and we're still recovering physically and mentally. Anyway, my partner and I had just landed and dropped our stuff off at a friend's house before heading to a Warped Tour pre-party thing with a bunch of cool bands who would be playing that weekend. We were heading up the highway in a Lyft, ready to kick off a fun trip. And before we knew it, we were getting tossed back and forth between four other cars. We spun out a little bit, and luckily everyone behind us was paying enough attention to stop. Otherwise, things would have been much worse. We're still waiting for police reports and insurance and all that stuff to go through and figure out what's going on. But it initially seemed like the person who hit us first and sent us into that fucked up game of ping pong took off. We were later told by Lyft that the person was caught like a mile or two down the road, but they didn't have insurance, so we're dealing with it through Lyft. I don't know how that works. I guess it's fine if you hit and run as long as you don't have insurance. Anyway, that shit really hindered the trip and pretty much everything else since. I got whiplash and a concussion, which I'm actually still dealing with 6 months later. Honestly, before this, I thought whiplash and concussions were just like a few days, maybe a week of dizziness and headaches. Boy, was I wrong. For the first few weeks, I was dizzy and nauseous and throwing up intermittently. So I didn't even get to refeed. I continued to have the dizziness and nausea for months, as well as just brain fog. And to this day, I still feel like I'm more susceptible to nausea and like motion sickness and stuff if I'm in a car or on a bus or something. It's just a bad time. Why is it in a car and on a bus? Luckily, my partner's brain made it out okay. But we've both been dealing with some pretty serious pain ever since. She's had a lot of issues with her hips and her lower back, and mine's mostly been in my neck and upper back. Ugh. I'm pretty much just always in pain now, and it's brought on some major difficulties in the last 6 months. Now, this obviously set me way back on a lot of my fitness stuff, but it's also just kind of made me miserable. It slowed me down in all aspects of life. Even stuff like doing the laundry or dishes can be kind of agonizing at times. I'm in pain right now. I've been in pain since I started filming. I journaled every day for years. And now it causes me more physical pain than it does emotional healing. And if you watched my life update video, you know that I was about to move. So we had to hire movers because I couldn't lift anything heavy and I wasn't able to drive. So yeah, that was extremely suboptimal in just about every way. But there is a silver lining. When I went to the doctor after the accident, I was able to check my weight. Stepping on that scale and seeing 184 was a treat. It could have been 2 less. That would have been fucking rad. But whatever. I knew I had been losing weight. All my clothes were fitting me differently. I had to get new underwear. Yes, I will sell you my old ones. But even though I could feel the difference and clothes were fitting me differently, it's hard to really see the difference when you have body dysmorphia. So knowing at that point that I had lost 26 pounds was very reassuring. Now, I'm sure some of that had a little to do with the nausea and lack of eating and lack of keeping it down in the week before seeing the doctor. But regardless, I lost a significant amount of weight. And prior to the accident, I was feeling better. So how did I do it? In my first video back, I did a full day of eating, and I basically ate that exact thing every day for 12 weeks straight. I was doing full body strength training 3 days a week and mobility training and stretches 3 separate days, as well as walking most days of the week. I had 1 full rest day, and I was also doing the occasional drumming workout. I'm not trying to sell you anything. This is just how it works. If you eat in a caloric deficit and you maintain or even increase your activity, you will lose weight. I did implement another thing which I found to be very useful for losing weight. So if you click that link in the description, it will take you away from this video. So don't do that, because I'm going to tell you right here, right now, for free. Gathering. There's lots of talk in the fitness world and manosphere about being alpha, all kinds of appeal to nature fallacies being promoted by primal giga chads. Well, since I don't condone killing animals, in a traditional hunter-gatherer society, I would be the beta soy boy gatherer. So I had the idea to kind of just roll with it and started walking to get all of my groceries. Now, I understand this won't be an option for everyone, and it also won't be as effective for everyone. I lived about a mile and a half from the grocery stores that I was going to at the time. I did them on separate days, going to each of them at least once a week. So that alone just added 5 miles of walking, half of which I was carrying relatively heavy groceries back. Some of you might live right next to a grocery store, so this will do next to nothing for you. Some of you might live much further from a grocery store, so you'll get shredded. Or realistically, you just won't have the time to walk that much. If you can implement it, I highly recommend it. Not just for losing weight, it's just good for you to get outside and get those steps in. There were times that I had to endure some suboptimal weather because I was running low on certain things, but usually I would try to check the weekly forecast and plan accordingly. But it was always worth it. I enjoyed it very much. Gathering. Give it a try. Now, I should say, those 12 weeks did kind of suck. Losing weight sucks. It's hard. You have less calories coming in. Calories are energy. Less calories, less energy. Depending on how aggressive you are with your caloric deficit, you might feel pretty shitty at times. That being said, it was absolutely worth it. It was nice to have a goal. I hadn't had a fitness goal in quite a while, and having the deadline definitely helped. We're all different, so maybe you would have a better time chasing a number on a scale, chasing a measurement. I was just doing what I could before that date, and I'm glad I did. Unfortunately, my plan of continuing the cut after the trip did not happen. I was just trying to maintain what I had and just make it through that concussed chapter of my life. Once I was able to eat normally again, I bumped my calories up to around 3,000 and my activity dropped tremendously. I think I was kind of maintaining around there. It felt like I was hovering around the mid 180s for a while. I'm still in significant amounts of pain throughout the day, but I did start exercising again. I'm definitely going easier on myself. but just bringing back light to moderate exercise and keeping my calories capped off at 3,000 has brought me back into a deficit. Again, I don't have a scale, but just comparing how I feel, how clothes are fitting me, and also pictures from right before the trip and right now, I would think that I'm at 180, maybe a little bit below. It's kind of hard to measure what good feels like now after the accident, but I don't feel as soft or slow as I did at 210. And I'm also grateful to not be as concussed and whiplashified as I was after the accident. Right now, I'm putting a lot more emphasis on bodyweight exercises and stretching and massage. I'm also getting my insurance figured out so I can go see a physiotherapist. So yeah, that's how last year went for my fitness goals. I wanted to lose weight, and I did. I also wanted to focus a little less on lifting heavy, and now I'm forced to, which of course makes me kind of miss lifting heavy. So that's fun. I don't want it to seem like I'm complaining too much because, again, it could have been much worse. We are very, very lucky, but we could have been a little luckier by just not being in an accident. So let's all just take a moment to appreciate every time we have gotten somewhere safely. It's really cool when that happens. My current fitness goals are just to maintain a healthy body weight. Maybe I'll cut down a little more, we'll see, but mostly want to heal my neck and my upper back. I've had other issues with my pec and my scapula and stuff, but it's a lot less apparent now because of my neck and back. So I guess that's good. So yeah, I don't have any grand fitness goals for the year. I just want to heal and feel better so my body can have an easier time doing cool things like journaling, dishes, laundry, handstands, backflips. So wish me luck with all of that. And good luck to you with whatever your goals are for the year. If you want to share your goals or your current progress with them, there's a comment section down there just waiting for your lovely words. They don't have to be fitness related. I have tons of other goals. Maybe I'll talk about those another time, but that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. Go Veg. Ugh.